Alright, so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is the, fourth or so movie I've done a review of this year, and this year there are going to be 12. Busy year for me. This is going to be completely spoiler-free. No spoilers, you couldn't torture that out of me. Once again, Guardians of the Galaxy is billed as a superhero film. It doesn't really feel like one. It's more kind of a space opera-esque adventure / comedy. I was utterly enchanted with it. I'll just start out that way. I absolutely love the first one. This one is amazing, but very different than the other one. The first one was, well, let's go into this and compare and contrast. One thing, seeing this movie, I'd heard reviews. I'd heard it actually not reviewed as well as the first one. It doesn't capture the charm of the first one. And I can see why. And I would, once again, I love this movie, but I would warn you about something if you're going to go see it. And you should. It's very good. It's absolutely excellent. There's a lot of setup in this. This is a more complicated film than the previous one. At one point in the story, the characters split up. They do a total Scooby-Doo. Half of them go this way, half of them go the other. And it's not for no reason. Everything has a payoff. There are scenes in it, particularly between two characters in particular, but there are others. That's the one thing I'm thinking about, where they have this exchange, and it's very cheesy. I got to go kind of vagaries if I'm not going to make this a spoiler. But two characters have an exchange, and it's like, oh, that's well done, but a little cheesy. It turns out it's there for a specific reason, to explain one of the characters better, to set up for a scene at the end when everyone meets back up again, which is, once again, like an episode of Scooby-Doo. We split up, and then we meet back up, and then there's a big finale. So there's a lot of scenes where things get complicated and kind of mired in, this thing is happening, this thing over here is happening with these two characters. The characters mostly pair off thinking about it. It's these two characters over here, these two characters over here, this new character and that new character, this new character, that old character, and so on. And there's a payoff for all of them. It's if there wasn't a payoff, I'd say this was shoddy. But the problem is, until you get to that payoff, it's like this is a little mired. It doesn't flow as smoothly as the first one because it's trying to do more. It's trying to have this complicated setup, multiple setups that all pay off in the third act. I loved it, but I could see other people complaining about it because while you're watching it, it's like, gosh, it's disjointed sort of pacing, or at least it seems that way. If you didn't get it at the third act, then it didn't pay off for you, and then it was slower than the previous. No spoilers whatsoever, but the antagonists. Marvel has long had a bad guy problem, a villain problem, or that's how I've heard it described. Basically, their villains tend to be very cookie cutter. They very thin motivations. What are they doing? Why? Why do we care? Oh, he's crazy, or he's very angry. Wants vengeance. Bad guy wants revenge. I am crazy, or, I'm greedy. I mean, they're, once again, weak motivations. This one did a very good job of explaining why things are the way they are. The antagonists are great. Once again, no spoilers. I'm not going to explain who the antagonists are. That is a big spoiler for this movie, but they did a really good job with the antagonists. Another thing that has to be commented on, the comedy. I really love I love James Gunn movies. I absolutely love them. This one was very funny. I was with people who have a very different sense of humor than I do. I'm not going to go into that, but there was some stuff I laughed at that they didn't, some stuff one person laughed at that none of the other of us laughed at, and so on. I think it really does have something for everyone. I mean, there are some poop jokes, and there's some more complicated stuff. It had a lot, comedy-wise. It has something for everyone, and that's, once again, it's a Marvel film. You know it's going to be a visual treat. I don't need to tell you that, but so this is just me confirming. It looks like a Marvel film in that it looks beautiful. It's interestingly shot. The action is very dynamic. It's not just one angle at any point. It's very well organized too, visually. Let's clarify that. Visually well organized. You understand what's going on. It never gets into that sort of mire of spaceship battles where I have no idea whose side is on whose and why I should care about any of these. I'm thinking the third Star Wars prequel, honestly, where it's like, what is going on this screen? Or any of the Transformers films. Like, oh, a bunch of gray robots are fighting each other, I think. No, this is well organized, it's pretty, but it's a treat to watch. I mean, if you had the sound off and you didn't catch any of the story or humor, it would still be beautiful and enjoyable. It's that interesting. The difference between Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The first one is, a lot of the enjoyment of it comes from it being very different. There is no other Marvel movie like it. To my knowledge, there's really nothing else like it at all. I mean, it's very strange. It's a D-list comic that I think started in 1969 with completely different characters. And then it acquired these other characters, all of whom are weirdos and not very four-color superheroes. And it's great. And it's a real band of misfits. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So let's get past that. The second film, there is a more complicated mystery, more than one actually. There's more going on in the heads of the characters and a lot of action tropes. Once again, no spoilers, and I'd love to. I'm going to do a spoiler video of this one, but it's not going to be this. But spoiler-free, this movie is more of an origin story without being an origin story, although it is an origin story. What I mean to say is, it focuses a lot more on Star-Lord, Peter Quill. He's very much the center of the show, but at the same time, it's like we see a lot more into the heads and motivations of the other characters, a lot more into their past, a lot more of, why are they like this particular way or this other way. So now that you have a bunch of weirdos thrown together, in the first film, in the second one, we kind of expand upon, well, why are they like that? How did they get to where they are? Where are they going from there? The more interesting questions. And I've been kind of waiting for the moment to explain this. The first one I enjoyed immensely. This is the one, though, that made me cry at one point. It, honest to God, made me cry. I, teared up, and then it went there, and it... Once again, I'm not going to explain why or how, but I will say this. It needed that long setup that required it to be more broken up during the course of the film. It needed more exposition in the middle to establish emotional connections to various characters, and that's what gave its finale its weight, gravitas. Yeah, that's why I cared enough that it touched me emotionally. So, way to go. That's an evolution. That is a clear evolution from the first one into the second, because this movie is sillier but more serious. Bravo, James Gunn. Good work. I'm just going to do the review part of this. The odds you'll see this movie and not like it, very low, extremely low. I don't care what other reviewers are saying. This movie was amazing and had literally something for everyone. If you're just a kid and a lot of the nostalgia elements, all of the Easter eggs, some of the Easter eggs were so obscure, I had to go home and go oh, these are characters from the original 1969 Guardians of the Galaxy. If you didn't know that, you're kind of well, who are these guys? If you didn't know any of this and you're just a kid going in to see this film, you would have loved it. It's there's awesome stuff happening. Even if you hadn't seen the first film, you would have dug it. There was enough to enjoy. If you are an enormous nerd and you like Easter eggs and that sort of film that would have a whole bunch of Easter eggs, this is a treat. It has more than any other Marvel film I've seen, by far. I'm going to say less than 1 in 10. Let's say 1 in 20. I mean, it's like that low. The odds you're going to see this and not like it are just zero. Part of my review, would I go see this film again? Once again, just like the first one, if I had the opportunity to just go right back in the theater and watch it again, I would have. That's a relevant part of the review, I think, or at least the ones I do, simply because I might think a movie is great, like it's just fabulous, and I think everyone will like it, but it might have no replay value. And I think that says something about the film. The 4-hour version of Dune. I'm a huge fan of Dune. Arguably one of the best, sci-fi books ever made. And I really liked the, 1984? That version of Dune. And there was a 4-hour version of it, and I've seen it. I absolutely love it. But after seeing it, would I want to see again? No. Maybe years later. I might never see it again. This movie isn't like that. It's very replayable. There's an awful lot going on. It has more, to extend the metaphor, it's juggling more balls than the first one. More bowling pins in the air. There's a lot going on story-wise. Like I said, they split up at one point, so it's like, here's a storyline over here, here's a storyline over here, here's an interpersonal thing with these two characters, these two characters, these two characters, these two characters. I'm literally counting them off in my head. There might be 10 different smaller personal arcs within the film, in addition to the greater arc, which is mostly Peter Quill. A lot going on, so a lot of replay value. My intention is literally to see this film twice more. Like, I want to see it once more as soon as possible, and I'm going to see it again before it leaves the theater, and then I'm going to buy it, because I want to own it just like the first one, because I absolutely love it, and I want to see the bonus features, the deleted scenes, and so forth. So, would I see it again? Fuck yeah. I'd see it immediately. I'd be watching it right now if someone told me I could. And I think that's all for me. I really like this film. Go out and see it. It's great. I don't care what other people say. I think it's awesome, but give it more of a chance than the first one. The first one tried really hard to win you over. Give this one a chance, because there's a lot going on during the course of particularly the second act that doesn't pay off until the third. Be patient with it. I think it's earned your goodwill with the first film. It will pay off in the end. And honestly, the 4 or 5 post-credit scenes are just the cherry on top. It's great. Go see it. That's me.